Hey everyone, I'm starting a series where I make indie game characters. Today I'm making Super Meat Boy. If you guys aren't familiar with Super Meat Boy is the main character in the indie video game Super Meat Boy, which was developed by Team Meat. Super Meat Boy is a square chunk of meat who is trying to save his girlfriend, which is named Bandage Girl, from the evil villain Dr. Fetus. During the game, Super Meat Boy has to get through a series of very difficult puzzles with like dodging obstacles, spikes, saw blades, like everything he has to dodge. This game was released in 2010 and was created by Edmund McMillan and Tommy Raffines. Sorry if I mispronounced their names. I haven't played Super Meat Boy, but I have been playing The Binding of Isaac. And it was made by one of Super Meat Boy's creators, Edmund McMillan. And it's currently one of my favorite indie games, so if you guys haven't played it, I suggest you do. If you guys have watched this far into the video, comment what indie game character I should make next. Maybe the next indie game character will be the most liked comment, so just comment who you suggest I should make next. Now that you guys have some context on who Super Meat Boy is, let's continue making him. So right now I'm just making his legs, and I'm doing this by cutting a little square on the bottom and rolling the two stubs to make them round. Now I'm making his mouth. I'm doing this by cutting a smile into his face and then using the pointy tool to pull out the extra clay. After this, I smoothen the inside of his mouth. I'm doing this so I can use the black clay later, and so the whole mouth won't be like really messy when I put the black clay in it. So now I'm just flattening the black clay out in my pasta roller. And this part was a little too thick, so I decided to use the thinner part. And so I'm rolling it out. The pasta thing didn't work. Rolling it out, and I'm just gonna smush it in the mouth, and then use one of my tools again and just push the black through the edges of the mouth. Alright, after that, I'm going to start making the gums. His gums are like a light pink, like a super light pink, and this is all I had, so I'm using this for the gums, but I realized that it was a little too brittle, like it kept breaking apart, so I had to smooth it out and smush it together to make it more squishy. So I'm doing that right now, and I realized that this clay actually had glitter in it, so my hands got glitter on it, which kind of sucked, but otherwise it was fine. So right now I'm just putting the gums in, and I'm using that tool again just to push the gums in more, make the mouth and smile more like define. And I'm making the bottom gums now. Now I'm making the teeth. So I decided, I saw a lot of people that they would always bake the teeth before putting it in any sculpture. So I decided I would try that out, and so as you can see, I'm cutting little squares just to use as teeth and bake them. And so we're gonna go bake these, and then we're back with them. And I try to do this, but it did not work out. As you can see, you're gonna see, like, as you're watching, they just didn't stick, and they were just like too small. So I eventually just decided to use just normal clay because it just wouldn't work. And now I'm just making his lips. This part was pretty easy, just put a little worm of clay and then smooth it in. After that, I'm going to start making the eyes. This part was probably the easiest part. So all I did was get some black clay, smush it into a ball, flatten it out, and then put it on. I put the eyes a little too close, so I decided to make them a little farther apart. And I got some clay that I mixed earlier with some purple and red, and it was like a little bruised area. And I used that for one of his eyelids. Now I'm just putting on the little white dots in his eyes, but this part was kind of annoying only because my hands were stained red from the red clay. So every time I would touch the white, it would stain the white like a kind of red color. So I had to like be careful not to touch it so much. It still ended up staining a little red, but you don't really see it, and I used some rubbing alcohol just to rub it off. Now for the other eye, I cut the eye in half just so I can get so it's easier to smooth in the eyelid for him. Alright, and now I'm just making the bandage that he has on like his forehead. Pretty simple. Just cutting 2 little lines and then putting them together. So for the hands, the first hand was pretty easy. It's just cutting a little worm and then putting it on there. But the second hand was a little, not hard, but just more detailed. So it was the same thing basically, but I had to make a thumbs up. So I just kind of, you can't see it here, but I smushed the end of it together and I made little fingers by cutting lines in the smush part. The fingers started to break, so I had to be very careful with it. But otherwise it turned out good, and I had to make the thumb. Alright, after that, I'm going to make a base for him. I'm making bases for all of my indie game characters that I'm going to be making. So, in the game, I saw that there's a lot of spikes, saws. So I decided to make it, I thought it would be a good idea to make his base a saw. This base was kind of hard to make because I don't know how to make a saw. So in the beginning, you can see I didn't do it right, and then as I was looking at a reference photo of the saw, I realized that that's not really how they look. So I decided to remake the spikes in a different way than how I originally did. And now we're done with the base and Super Meat Boy, so let's bake them. I forgot to add the wire in the base and in him, just so he can stand on it. So I did that. Now I'm just adding some blood, some paint, I don't know, meat juice. I'm not entirely sure. In the game, there's like this meat juice everywhere he walks. So I'm putting that on there. I'm assuming it's probably blood, but yeah, I'm putting it on. And we are done with him. Here is Super Meat Boy. Thank you guys for watching the video. Also, don't forget to comment what indie game character I should make next. Whichever comment is the most liked for the indie game character, I'll most likely make next. So comment who I should make next. Thank you guys for watching.